recording. So
Yay.
Nothing
Good
anywhere near the mic.
morning.
Ooh, because it wasn't anywhere near the mic. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. As Stephen Fry would say on QI, which I have been started watching again. Because it's fun. How are we all doing today? And welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Dear Becky and Lizzy edition.
Adventures of Liz and Rebecca. That. Yeah. Okay. I have to get in the Adventures of Liz and Rebecca. It's just our thing, you know.
Yeah.
So, hi. I'm Rebecca, as always. I am the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber. It's sunny and probably getting hot again. Brevard, North Carolina.
Liz, I'm the minion there.
And is it going to get hot again today? She's
A
my weather
couple
person.
of degrees cooler than yesterday is what they're saying.
What does that mean? Like 80 instead of 82?
Like 83 instead of 85.
I was trying to put a good spin on it, for sure. Okay.
This weekend,
it's been hot.
70s are coming back
for us. My parents are visiting, and my dad met someone who said, "This is as hot as it gets," and I'm like, "No, it gets hotter."
We've gotten into the 90s.
We've gotten into the 90s. It's usually it's not normal, but it happens.
We don't normally stay there for very long.
Yeah. Just like when it snows, the snow doesn't stay very long. I'm from New England, and when it snows, you dig yourself out. Down here, you sit around and wait for it to melt.
Because the temperature bounces enough.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I think I almost got a good night's sleep last night. I mean, anyone watching the show has known that I've been very tired lately and out of it and whatever. And
she's all bright and cheery today.
We'll see how long that lasts. It won't last all that long. No, I think I almost won a fight against the cat because he wakes me up several times a night, and lately it's been go get my food, go do this, go do that. I only got out of bed once last night, and it wasn't to do something for the cat.
That's a win.
And I don't have more scratches on me as a result. So that is a win. So I think I got some good sleep last night. We'll see how the day goes, and then I'll really know for sure. Okay, so so
could also be that you were completely worn out before you went to bed last night.
Maybe.
So, your body just said,
I knit a little before bed, and I don't think it was messed up when I did my morning meditation this morning. I was a little worried because I knit with only like my bedside lamp on. Mm-hmm. I was a little worried that it was gonna look like what in the morning, but
it looks so cool. I haven't seen it up in person in a while. It looks really, really good.
And I just added the last color. A little bit of pink, just a little bit. Probably doesn't even show up on camera. Over here, where is it? A little bit more. 3 stitches instead of 2. Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter, also known as Boylan Knitworks. One of the reasons I picked this up last night. So we have a couple of things we're going to talk about today. We actually did get a question in overnight, so we can talk about that. I want to save that though. I want to go through
our other.
We had a backup just in case. And that can be done fairly quickly, probably.
Yeah.
So let's start with that and then get to the important stuff. So this is my Jupiter Crop. Look at that. What I realized recently. Okay, I'm going to scroll for a minute because that's what I do. Mm-hmm. A lot of the sweaters I've been starting lately have been based on measurements that have been growing during the pandemic. And recently, I think I've lost some weight, not for healthy reasons, but lost weight nevertheless. And a lot of these sweaters might end up being huge on me when they're done, but I guess too big is better than too small.
I'd rather have it too big because then it just feels comfy.
So we'll see how this ends up. I always have to go back and look at what size I picked because I forget because I have too many projects going. Not a thing. So I got back to this because I really wanted to get to the pink because, you know, yay. And the pink has all this stuff that came off of it that I have to knit up so it won't tangle. But also because we got a back order in yesterday. We got a few back orders and new orders and things, not a lot of yarn, but little bits and pieces, which is kind of fun.
It was like a couple of bags in this box, a couple of bags in that box.
One of the colors we were out of, because I'm making this sweater, of course, is the really dark purple that's in this. That's the base background color of this. We even ordered a new purple, which is fun too. It's this luscious, really dark purple, like vivid purple. This one's more of kind of an eggplant, I guess.
Yeah, eggplanty, and I love that.
And we were, because I'm making this sweater, we were out of it. So we got so when I saw we got this bag in, and I went, oh, there's tons of it now. Someone can make the same color as me. Oh, I figured we had to let you know. And this color is called, let's see, violet. The I'm forgetting what the name of the really vivid
the other purple.
Oh, it's like something with an L. So Liz will get it. But this violet, what's called violet, is actually a nice eggplant dark purple. Lobelia, I think it is. Well, it's close enough to get them to the right one.
Where's the and we can hold it up.
Closer. Hang on. Look, we're unboxing on camera.
This can be Rebecca's spot where she test swatches for color.
Hey.
So this is the violet, and this is the lobelia.
The lobelia is more of like a blue purple, and it's more intense in color.
And the violet's more of a red purple.
Yeah, it's a red purple, and it's a little more heathery looking, and yeah, it's kind of darker. But the other colors, which I'm really excited that came in, because originally when I was picking out colors, they're also the colors that are in a couple of our striped sweater combos that I was all worried that we wouldn't have enough to sell anybody. We got the natural back in. Yay. And again, a lot of yarns come in bags of 5 or 10. You're getting all the insider secrets now on how to run a yarn shop. And so we get 10 in at a time. I could do more, but where would we put it?
Really? Where would we put it?
Where would we put it? This one's called Ivory. I mean, if we could have all the yarns in massive like beyond sweater quantities for everybody, for at least 3 people who walked in the door, we would need a warehouse. We really would. But so we have Ivory back in, which if you look on Andrea Mowry's stripes combos that we have online, we have a really lovely combo that has Ivory. Some of the colors from this, but it's just, I almost made my sweater the Jupiter crop out of one of our stripes sweater combos, and then we came up with something different. So Ivory's in. We had one skein of that left, and we had completely, I think, run out of, or maybe we have a skein in quarantine right now.
Yeah.
This one is called light gray, and it really is. It's like an off-white with a little bit of gray, heathery mixed in. It's gorgeous. The other one, so this one's more of a cool neutral. We have a warm neutral called Sand, and it's like a off-white with a little bit of a beigey heathery, and we only have like 2 of those left in stock. I have to see, that might be back ordered. There's a lot of stuff that's back ordered right now. Speaking of back orders and yarn product of the week, let's combine them. So this, the Cumulus Rainbow, also from Juniper Moon Farms. I want to call it Jupiter because the Jupiter crop, but no, it's Juniper. We got a lovely big order in. Someone scarfed up a whole bunch of the rainbow, and good for her. Shout out to Nancy, right? Nancy. Shout out to her. Some of what she scarfed up is back ordered, so we can't get more in right now. I think we have tried to order it. It's back ordered. I went and looked. All but like 3 colors of the rainbow are back ordered. So we were lucky to get in what we got when we did. I'm like looking for it. I'm like, oh no, you pulled it down because you had to fill an order.
I pulled it down because
yeah. So get it while you can. It really, there might have only been 1 or 2 colors that we currently stock that we can reorder. And there's a couple of colors that are no longer available. So what we have is what we have for the most part. You can always call the shop and ask. But if you see a rainbow color you want to try out, I would get it now. And, you know, until next Wednesday morning, it's 15% off with the code product of the week, which Nancy took really good advantage of. Well done. So yeah, I was just kind of surprised by that, but that's kind of how things go in the yarn world on a normal basis. And then you throw COVID on top of it, which yes, it is not gone. Even though the CDC is like, yay, if you're vaccinated, everything's cool. The whole world is still definitely being affected by this, and it sometimes affects our supply more than normal.
And when you consider all the steps that are required to make yarn, like
there's a lot of different people who have to be healthy for it to work.
One of our customers had asked if I'd wind some of her Brooklyn tweed, and the sheep lived in Colorado, but then they were shorn in Colorado, but then there were 5 other states that were involved in producing the yarn. Like somebody else scoured the fleeces, somebody else spun the, like the steps involved in spinning yarn.
And a company that's like from Canada might source their yarn from Romania or Israel or Egypt or, all over the place. So a lot of stuff goes into the lovelies that we knit with. So we got some Patagonia in, and I'm going to look at what we're low on and maybe order some more, but some of it might be back ordered. We got in back when we advertised Bamboo Pop as one of our sale things, which it is not currently, but it might make another round again. I tried to get us some new colors, and we got some of them, but some were back ordered. And so,
what?
And so we have 2 new colors that came off of back order. Yay! Because, why not broaden our palette? So we got the red. This one's for Liz. It looks like an apple, but it's not.
It's a pretty red.
It's a really pretty red. It's called True Red. And like a lot of Bamboo Pop, it's got a little bit of a dual tone to it, just slightly. Of like a lighter, almost pink red, and then like a red, but it doesn't look pink. I'll just say that from afar, like you can see, it's red. It's a nice orangey red, I would say, or it's not like, I don't want to mislead people. It's not like a super orangey red. Like this one's a little more of an orangey red right there in the cumulus. It kind of has a balance between being an orangey red and a purpley red, or a blue red, so I like it very much. It's not like a super deep, intense red. It's almost a fire engine red.
Yeah.
So. And then we have quartz, and it's like quartz pink. I would say this is almost a purpley pink, like an orchid pink, but they're calling it quartz. So my vocabulary on colors has expanded exponentially in the past 4 years, I must say. And I'm still having difficulty because what some people call Kelly green was not what I thought Kelly green was. So I've had to reevaluate what I think Kelly green is. Anyway, and when you Google colors, sometimes you come up with 16 shades.
Because unless you have the Pantone, or not the Pantone,
even when you do, well, it's ridiculous
looking at it at a computer. But like if you had the color cards where it's like this is the actual color, like in painting or whatever, everybody's idea of what a color is about 15 different shades, and
people will be adamant that what they think a color is what the color is. So when someone's like, I want like mint green, or I want powder blue. Yes, like all the blues. Oh my gosh, so many blues.
Ice blue goes from translucent pale blue to cobalt.
You will bring out, this is what we think, and no, that's not what I said. And it's like, that's as close as we can get. So I think that might be all the yarn we got in. The off black of Wool Addicts Air, which is the
fuzzy stuff,
the fuzzy alpaca that's like thick mohair, feels kind of like thick mohair. So what I'm making my chevron cloud out of, I'm using the natural of the Wool Addicts Air. And we had some combos that had this off black in it. And I think we had to list them as out of stock because we didn't have enough. Now we do. So now I can go back and try to fix that. So if you want to make a dark and broody mohair, and like color changing mohair, or if you want to pick a solid mohair, talk to us or look at what we
I
have in
was
stock.
thinking about the off black
Uh-huh.
water with the solid black, either in
Oh,
sparkle.
the water's kind of dark. Ooh.
Like
the air, you mean? No, water. Sorry. That's what I meant. What we got in was water, not air.
if
oh my gosh. They all
took the off black water,
crimped alpaca.
the
Just
crimped
know it's
alpaca,
that. Yes.
and you paired it with either the sparkle black mohair or the normal black mohair.
Oh, with the black.
It would look.
We need to put up more combos. Okay, the combos for the Chevron Cloud that we have online as kits
are just the rainbows.
Are only the color fading mohair, because that's what I'm making and I think that's cool. But we should probably look to see if we can get some solid combos. That would be really pretty. One of the issues is I think it would only take like 2 of the color changing mohairs, because they're giant for mohair. They're giant 50 gram skeins. Yeah. Lot of yardage. 50 grams might not sound like a lot. It's a lot of yardage on there. Usually mohair comes in these cute little puffs of 25 grams. And so if we use the solids that we have, you'd have to use at least 4.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's 4 of the waters.
Yeah.
So I'll get my terminology right in my head.
The cost goes up.
Well, it's a lot of balls of yarn,
yep.
But it'll make this fabulous long wrap. It will just be so fantastic. So we'll work on that if we have time. No promises, but I'd like to. Okay. So look for that, because we're not holding up the fluffy stuff, but we got the fluffy stuff in the dark and broody. Okay. So what did we get in for dear Becky and Lizzy? I'm making Liz work this morning. I got it. It's right here. I'm okay. I want to pull up something that's related, because you already read me the question, so I'm prepping. Go ahead.
Question for Becky and Liz. I have a question for your show on Thursday. I am planning to knit a sweater that uses a fade technique. Not having purchased the pattern yet, I was wondering if either of you have ever knitted any kind of fade in a sweater or a shawl project. Do you have any advice, etc.? I'm confused as to how it works without producing stripes. Keep doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next knit night. Thanks to you both.
And we usually don't say names. We do shout outs to people.
I won't say names.
I know. I'm just being difficult, and I'm jumping in and saying stuff.
Okay. So I told Rebecca, I said, this question actually comes at a good time, because I started a fadey sweater, and I'm doing a pattern that's a solid sweater, but I'm working my own fade into it. I don't necessarily, putting fades together is not my thing. I don't know why. I cannot help plan a fade to save my life. But for some reason, the stars
she's knitting
aligned.
A fade. What?
The stars aligned, and I found all the right colors, at least for the first 3, to get a fade. Like, they are so close together.
Yeah.
So
what was it? What I was the line in there was like, how can I do this so it doesn't stripe? The answer is it's almost impossible for it. It depends on the colors, because it's almost impossible for it not to stripe unless the colors are so close to each other, which is happening in Liz's.
In my research, I found that there were 2 ways to do a fade. Pretty much based, one, you stripe in the color, which if it's a thicker yarn, it's kind of what you got to do. Or 2, you marl the yarn, where you hold one of one color and one of the other color and fade, and then go back to 2 of the togethers. And Rebecca just happens to have.
And that's not like a fade. Like, I picked really distinct colors.
But if they were closer, they might fade a little bit.
That might look like these. This is, I took a pattern that was for DK weight yarn, which is double knit, which is like holding 2 strands of fingering weight. And I took fingering weight yarn from Fiber Spates. I took really bright colors, and like, here's 2 pinks. And then here, tilt it a little more towards the camera. Yeah. And then this is 1 strand of pink and 1 strand of blue. And then here's 2 blues, and then 1 strand of blue and 1 strand of green, and then 2 greens, and then 1 strand of green and 1 strand of pink, and then 2 pinks. And actually, if we can hold the other end, I did them at different thicknesses. Like these are closer together and these are further apart. So you can see like, again, the two colors, same color, two strands, one color of each, same color, two strands, one color of each. If we had more strands, we could, you know, fade it more spread out. That actually could look really cool if it was like 7 strands, like the confetti scarf. Yeah. And every once in a while, you just changed one of them. I mean, that is actually percolating ideas in my head, which I don't have time for because I have too many things on needles.
Apart from marling and striping it in, there really aren't.
Well, and so
unless you get a fadey yarn. Sorry.
So let's talk. Yes, unless you have one yarn that fades the whole time itself, right? So let's talk, which is what the rainbow does. Squirrel, right? So let's talk about the fading, the striping version. Like Andrea Mowry and a lot of other people like her, that is the method that they pick. And like I know who's asking this question, and I know the sweater we were looking at together. And when I was doing research on colors for her based on what we have in the shop, and looking at the colors that Andrea Mowry used, one of the things that helped hers fade, Andrea Mowry's, because she loves like the comfort fade cardi and the there's so many different what the fade with, and find your fade and all these other things, is what can make a really successful fade is if the colors are really, really close to each other, like gradients of each other. And if they have like speckles and other things thrown in, like I think one of the reasons that yours works so well is these variegated yarns. They're not necessarily all speckly, but the ones Andrea Mowry picks are. Yeah. But they're Daydream dye works that have some overlap in the variation. The variegated colors have overlap with them. My Stay Out of the Forest shawl that I have here, it's written as a fade, and I decided to try out these fade packs behind me that Spunky Sheep made, but her fade packs, they're really more colors that go with each other. They're not like, if we take a look, these were the original colors and the glare, you know. There's a really dark, a silver, Riverstones has some lovely like brownie grays in it, and then a pop color, but they don't fade within each other. And then the pop color, you know, it's just very different. They're not a gradient fade though. They're colors that go, I would call them a coordinating pack rather than a true fade pack, because I followed the instructions for Stay Out of the Forest, which really was, when you want to fade it, you start doing 2 rows of each color. You start alternating, which could, you know, could be stripy. I'll show you what mine did. Mine has stripes in it, but Stay Out of the Forest has this chevron pattern, which it looks really cool, but it's definitely not a fade by my definition of it. But so this is the Stay Out of the Forest. Ooh. And down here, what are you doing? What are you doing? Now, down here, this might look more like, between these two colors, it's not as stark as say up here, right? This is like stripes. And then down at the bottom, stripes. But this is one technique for fading. If you have colors that are really close together though, which I'll show you her picture. If you have colors that are speckly and close together, it will look a lot more
like a fade,
fade, right? And so, and this person's instructions, and what I like about Natasha Sills' pattern is she's got all kinds of advice, and one of them is about how to do a fade, and then other things of how to adapt the pattern based on the yarn you have and other things. Hers was just a straight up, when you want to start changing colors, you start doing 2 rows of one and 2 rows of the other until you've run out of the first one. Some people on their patterns will change it up. They'll do 2 rows of your second color and do 4 or 6 rows of your first, like start to weave it in, and then start balancing out the space between your stripes, and then start going so the stripes are thicker in the color you're heading towards. So you'll come up with different variations on how to try to fade it in. However, like with this, if your colors are really different from each other, it will stripe. There's no two ways around it.
My sweater, like, because I got the top colors really,
Mhm.
really close, and I'll bring it in on Tuesday.
Yeah.
The top colors are super, super close to each other. In fact,
So they don't look stripy.
2 of the colors are different dye lots of the same color. Like,
So they're
very
different,
different.
but they're close enough that when you stripe them, you can't necessarily see
Yep.
the stripes.
When I start my next color, you're going to start noticing stripes, because the
Mhm.
next color, even though it's carried through the 2 previous colors, it's going to be noticeably striped.
And yeah, and so let me see. I'm gonna look up, say, the Comfort Fade Cardi, because that is one of the most popular like sweaters that is a fade, right?
And my sadness is, like, come on, we're knitters. We should be able to do a better fade thing.
Unless you're going to,
But really, there's only 2 the ways.
unless you're going to dye your own yarn,
Yeah.
and get, ones that are gradiently really close. And we could get as close as possible, but it's hard to have like everything be really close unless something's made specifically for that. Even the fade yarns that we have here in the shop, like the gradient yarns aren't true. A lot of them aren't true gradients. They have chunks of color. Unless you want to pull apart plies, like you have multiple ply yarn, because K Facet does that, and I always butcher his name. I remember I have a book of his somewhere that's like, it's like, take 1 ply of this color and 1 ply of that color, and like he wants you to actually pull apart yarn and kind of like combine it to, and it's beautiful what you can do with it, but oh my gosh, it's complicated. So this picture might be pretty good, but okay, so come on, let me make it bigger. So Andrea Mowry's Comfort Fade Cardi, I'm zooming in on a piece of it. If you look really closely at that, it's stripy.
Yeah.
Going from the blue to the gray, it's stripy. And it may, she may have a way that you're alternating. You could try doing something where instead of just doing rings and absolute rows, you can start working in some Fair Isle where you're mixing the colors up. And she might actually do that in some of her patterns. That could be another thing. But you're still going to see chunks of color. Like on this, I see chunks of color.
I did notice that with some of the fades, it was like speckles and then a little bit more speckles, and then you switch yarn somewhere in there to where the speckles go top and bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I didn't want to do that was I had DK yarn.
I'm like, words now.
And I wanted a summer weight sweater. Yeah. And if you're doing the Fair Isle,
you get 2 layers.
You get 2 layers.
It gets thicker. Yeah. So this person's, if we look at hers, and what helped the Comfort Fade Cardi fade a little bit is it's reverse stockinette, which means the purl side is showing, which means the colors interlock a little on a purl stitch. You get bumps up and below, which can help fade it more. But even this one, you see stripes, right? And then let's see. I'm going to see if there's other ones that, okay, this is the back of her sample. And it looks like there's some back and forth. So I don't know if that's from the purling or if she actually had people mid-row kind of change colors. But again, it fades, but if you look closely, there are stripes. There are stripes on this. So unfortunately, there might be some stripiness happening. Let me see. Let me look. Okay, that's her hoodie thing. You can do the research like Liz did. And she found some really cool stuff. Again, fingering weight, most of the pictures on this are hers. Okay, so here's someone's Comfort Fade Cardi. It's stripy. Not all of it looks that stripy, but it's kind of stripy. And actually on this one, it looks like there might be thicker and thinner, like she might have done that, fade the stripes, how thick the stripes are from one color to the other. The Stay Out of the Forest shawl, it was simply start doing 2 rows of each one. So there are simple and more complex ways to do it, but it potentially is going. So here's a person who did the Comfort Fade Cardi who picked the variegated colors that were pretty close to each other. And that fades a little better, When you get down to the bottom, a little stripy, but it fades a little better because the colors are just super close to each other. I would say for the most part, you might just want to. So like, here's someone's colors. And I think that's really close to what Andrea Mowry did. It's probably going to stripe a little bit. This person picked all purples. But if you look closely where the purples, I'll show Liz, where the purples are starker, there's stripes, right? And again, this is because it was knit inside out. It kind of helped it fade a little bit, and not all will be. So it's kind of tough, right? I would embrace that some striping is going to happen, and it's all about rocking it with confidence. If you wear it with a this is what was supposed to happen, people will think it's so much cooler than if you're like, yeah, I tried for a fade and it striped. Then people will be like, oh. But if you say this is my rock and fade with the stripies, or just say it's a fade, then people will go, that's cool. So I think it's all about pulling it off, right?
I struggle with it's hard for me to pick a fade because how is it going to work knowing that there's really only the two ways. You're either going to have stripes or marls, unless you can, even if you find the perfect fade pack, there's going to be some stripy
right
in there.
I'm trying to look at her bundles. No. Oh, faded. She's got a whole I figured she would. She has a whole category for things that fade. Yeah, and I think the Find Your Fade has some stripies in it. So this is so faded. It's a top, but you can see there's stripes in it. And because she's got speckles, if you throw some speckles all throughout it, then it won't look quite as stripy. Like I said, that's kind of the way to make it work. What the fade? I'm not showing this up real close. I can't.
Is it the triangle one?
What the fade is the triangle one with brioche. And the brioche can help things fade, but that's not the only way to do it.
I looked at that and it's still stripy, but the brioche kind of hides some, like there are ways to hide some of the stripies, but it's,
It's really tough to not have the stripies. I'm looking for like this one. Let's see. This is Rose. And it's a cardigan that's knit around. It's really funky. But even that, if you look at the back of hers, the specklies help break up the stripes, but there are some stripes running down her back. But she's picked yarn that has speckles in it, and some dyers do speckles awesome, and some avoid speckles. Like Daydream Dye Works that we have is a lot of variegated, but not so much speckles. But the speckles, if there's overlapping specklies, can help it fade. So it's a tough question, and it's a good one. And part of the reason we don't do a lot of fades ourselves in the shop. Or, if you use Feederbrook Farm and some of their colors,
it kind of does it for you.
It does it for you, but if you pick, so like the Night Shift, which I didn't bring down today, but the Night Shift, you're supposed to pick colors that don't go with each other, so they pop against each other. But if you pick colors that did, then you would have more of a fade happening. Like Feederbrook has colors that fade amongst themselves. But if you were going to do stripes of, say, these colors, if you were going to stripe these colors, depending on what part of the skein you were in, it would definitely fade between all three of them. Or they would seem to go with each other enough that it would blend and not look as stripy because it's already doing a fade, not quite stripe. And then you stripe, you move in the other colors, then you might have a better fade. So unless you pick yarns that are already doing it, or have speckles that overlap, or the variegated colors that Liz has that overlap, you're probably going to have a little bit of striping happening, or a lot of striping happening. But again, depending on the direction of the knit and what's going on with it, that could look really cool.
It just adds to the character of
and like I said, this is the only one that I've ever tried. But again, I used the coordinating pack that Spunky Sheep, which is one of our local dyers, sent to us, and I love it, and it's yummy. And the chevron pattern, I think, because it got stripy, it looks really cool in the chevron pattern. So you got to kind of pick something maybe that embraces it, or just, again, rock it. And then if people go, it's stripy, and you say, yeah, so what? It's like,
you want to knit it?
Then you smack them with it and walk away. No, okay, because then you have to disinfect it. So you just talk to the hand, and know that you put in a lot of work, and it's absolutely brilliant and looks wonderful. So I think that's why I do a whole lot of Fair Isle or like popping colors against each other, because I like embracing contrast rather than trying to make things fade. Because as cool as that is, I worry about being disappointed. So, is there anything else we want to talk about today? Oh, I know I want to announce something before we go, but is there anything else we want to talk about today?
I started a new shawl.
The one you're working on right now?
Yeah. I started another Papillon.
Shock face! What? I saw, she's like, I'm ready to check out yesterday. It was a really slow day. It's one of those don't leave us unattended in the shop. It happened. I didn't pick a new project. I'm very proud of myself, but Liz did. And I looked at what she had pulled out. I'm sorry, I'm going to tell one more part of the story. And I went, oh, you're making that Papillon. Now I will let Liz speak.
So I've always said that, it's possible to do a Papillon out of Encore. And I picked out a tweed moth, kit.
Well,
like 6 colors.
The moth kit is what, 6 colors, contrast, and a pop?
Yep.
So we're talking about 8 colors. We put it up on the Papillon site. I don't know if it's still there. I gotta check. Okay.
I checked yesterday.
Okay. I don't know about stock and everything, because we might have been out of stock of some of these colors, but maybe I never got around to it. We should be back in stock of all the colors. Did you pick the same colors as we have up on?
I switched one color because it was the oatmeal tweed, and I switched it out for the not the oatmeal. It was the one that's granola. And
all these breakfast cereals.
Switch it out for the oatmeal.
The oatmeal's brighter, right?
Yeah,
the granola is kind of more of an off-white.
Yes.
Or cream.
Yeah. And so I switched it out for that, but otherwise it is all the same. So plus, all right, so really, Encore, whatever, but 10.5 needles. It's tweedy. And for a worsted weight one, it's only going to cost like $70.
Yeah, we were looking at that. It's really cool to use that many colors for a moth variant. Usually it's much more expensive. And you started knitting it and you said, well, it's not as soft as
soft as the other, but
it's so cost effective, and the tweedy will look so cool.
Yeah, it's just plus I kind of like tweed, and I keep eyeing the Encore tweed, and I'm like, but it's Encore. But it's tweed, and it's worsted weight. It's tweed, and I like tweed. So, I am working on it just to show everybody and confirm how many actual balls it's going to take, because we figured about 3 balls of the contrast. So just because it's a little thicker, and anyway, we'll see. But I like how the gray and the oatmeal are pairing up so far. So
it looks really cool. The gray, what we call the off black.
And I was also looking and thinking this morning, right before we started filming, there are so many different colors of the Encore in the Encore wall, and we do have some of the rainbow, or not the rainbows, but and you could actually paint with it like I've done with some of the other yarns.
And some of the Encore is in our online shop, and some I haven't gotten up yet because there's so much of it. Yeah. There's a lot of, as much as we've gotten online, there is still more yarn in the shop.
Oh,
and no, every time I try to get around to getting it all up online, life interferes, and we'll keep trying. So, but yeah, check that out. If you want to do a Papillon in a thicker weight with lots of colors, that is a very cost-effective option. And if you don't want the Tweedies, although the Tweedy adds some fun, like, interest, right? Or if you want different Tweedies,
well, we have like
call the shop. We'll help you out with it.
Waves, Like we have a red wave
We
that I
have
was like
ones-
sunsets.
It's Encore that kind of functions like Feederbrook Farm, but it's much less expensive because acrylic, acrylic wool blend. But it would be really cool. And we have self-patterning yarn that if you're only knitting with it in garter, it will just look funky. And doing the little bubbles, it will just look funky. And so there's so many options, right? Just so many options. Yeah, call us and confer or email us and we can come up with something for you.
Yeah. It's a great way to paint a papillon if you were looking for a painty papillon and it's really cost effective.
So neat stuff, and let's see, so I'm going to go over the schedule for the rest of the week and leave you with a parting yay. So we did our Dear Becky and Lizzy, yay. And tomorrow night is one of our virtual sit and stitches from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom with the shop phone number
828-877-3550.
Hopefully the mic picked that up.
I think
the mic's pretty good. It'll be in the comments. No, that was the dramatic reading of our shop phone number. So come when you can, leave when you have to. There will not be a sit and stitch this Saturday. The next sit and stitch will actually, for Saturday, will actually be on the anniversary of our first one, the Worldwide Knit in Public Day. We will have that knit in public from the safety of your home again, even though for some people it's safe to knit in public again. We're not there yet. So that'll be June 12th. I think it was June 12th last year, but it was the whole like leap years or things that makes it a Saturday again. So, but this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. And usually that means there's a big, huge festival in town called the White Squirrel Festival, but they decided because they had to plan months in advance that we didn't know what the situation would be. So they're not holding the White Squirrel Festival. And we're still not ready to be open on the weekends. Anyway, so I decided, let's have a flash sale. Woo! You know me. So
she decided this morning. So
I've been thinking about it all week, but we actually just pounded out the details this morning. So Saturday through Monday, because not only is that our weekend, it is everybody. Well, hopefully it's everybody's weekend this weekend, because Memorial Day, Monday, means a lot of people, not everyone, because people got to work no matter what. But for a lot of people, they will have a 3-day weekend as well. So your weekend and our weekend are finally the same for some. Saturday through Monday, we will have a 25% off sale. Yay. With the code Memorial21. No spaces. And I'm not going to put it in the comments probably. This is like, I'm going to put it on social media. Maybe I will be advertising it on Saturday. It will be a true flash sale for social media people. So like Facebook and Instagram. But you guys get a heads up. So 25% off. It will start Saturday. It will go through Monday. It will be the code. No, I might go edit that out because I have magic powers. I can do that. Memorial 21. I think I'm already starting to not be awake. Memorial 21 because it's 2021. So Memorial 21, but it will save you 25% off. And by Saturday, it will probably be up in the online shop and on social media, but you guys get a heads up on that. All right. And if you want to get on there early, like if there are things like, stuff we might be about to sell out of, if you might want to check if it looks like the Cumulus, any of it's low or almost out, you might want to get it before Saturday because we might not be able to reorder it. But then you can use the code product of the week and you can save 15%. If you want to hold out till Saturday, get on there early, use Memorial 21 and save some money. And we will start shipping things out next week as soon as we can. We try to have a good turnaround time. If a lot happens this week, which I will be very happy if a lot happens this week, that will be fantastic. Please buy us out of yarn. Wonderful. Depending on how much sells is how fast we can turn around the orders.
In general, if we have a lot of online sales over the weekend, we try and come in on Monday. But
The sale will still be going on Monday.
The sale will still be
it's
going.
Memorial Day. We will want to hide out from people.
Yeah.
So
and we also
Life.
have a large weekend.
We have a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah. So
it
no
might be
parties,
a few days.
no nothing. Like
no.
It's just
we don't
crazy.
Party. What?
Party.
I had one cider with dinner last night because I thought I could just be like, maybe I've earned a cider. No, it was bad.
And by party, we mean in bed at 9:30.
I know. I almost fell asleep on my parents, and I woke up this morning saying I should have hydrated with one cider.
Yeah.
No. Our idea of partying is putting on PJs and knitting and going to bed.
Yeah.
That's a party. So yes, so it might be a couple of days turnaround before we mail things out. And then as some of our knitters have experienced, sometimes the packages decide to stay in Greenville for extended vacation. But I don't think we've lost a package yet, knock on wood, for whatever superstition that is. We haven't lost a package yet. So if everyone is patient, things tend to get there. Anyway, we should go. It's time to start opening up the shop very soon, and we need to clear all this up for inside shopping. Please make an appointment to come in if you would like to come in and shop. And
sundragonartandfiber.com has a link. It is a great way to sign up because sometimes we are busy, sometimes we don't know,
sometimes we don't have enough time if you call
Yeah.
like to sign you up. We will try. But if you can sign yourself
easiest.
up and give us notes about any inkling of an idea of what you're looking for, then we can help you out. We still require masks to come inside and appointments. If neither of those are to your liking, we can help you outside. You might have to be very patient.
If there are no appointments available for the day, we can help you outside.
Again, you might just need some patience because we're probably also helping people inside. And don't assume, though I would too, that if there's no one inside, why can't we come in? It should be easy. Believe me, there's always stuff that we're doing in here. And we want to give you the best shopping experience possible, which means helping prep and helping streamline. And we will give you our best knowledge of the stuff in the shop and what will work for your project or help you find a project. It just requires some patience, and we will hook you up with the best stuff we have in the shop.
And our appointment slots are half hour long. Mm-hmm. So we try and cram as much
you'd be surprised
happy, fun stuff in that half hour. If you shop outside, it can go over that half hour. But if we have like people backing up, it
sometimes we're 5 or 6 people deep outside. That happened last summer. And, when it was in the shop, I remember we would try to help 5 people at a time in the shop, like in olden days. And then you weren't getting our best attention. So if we can organize and streamline the process, you get our best attention, you get our best work, you leave feeling very satisfied. So we're going to go. We love you. We miss seeing a lot of you, but we see some of you online and we see some of you in the shop when you have appointments, and we see some of you outside, and it's wonderful. And we're really grateful that you are part of our community. Just by watching this, you are one of us. Yay.
One of us.
So if you're long distance, when it's safe enough, plan a road trip, come visit us. It would be great to meet you. We have met a few people who watch the show, and it's always fun. So we're leaving now. Have a good weekend. Hope to see you at knit night if you choose to come. And if not, maybe we'll see you next week. Bye. Oh, there's so much Patagonia here on the floor.
What?
I have to try not to trip.